Welcome to Uncontained, episode 140. I'm your host, Aaron Static Render, and on the show today, I speak with comedian Lyall Behrens. We meet up in Oakland's Jack London Square at Plank, and there may be a little bit of background noise in this one. At least 3 trains went by, and, bar noise in the back. But we had a great conversation. We talk about how comedians get booked, and also walking the fine line of being a comics comic and an audience's comic, and when to draw the line on doing shows for exposure alone. That's all coming up. Plug in your earbuds. This is how Lyall Behrens lives uncontained. How are you doing today, Lyall?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, man. Thank you for joining me on the podcast here. We're hearing a train go by right now in the background. We're in Jack London Square in Oakland. So you may hear some background noise throughout this episode. But dude, thank you for coming on. It's kind of a cool place that we're meeting at. Plank it is. We'll give it a plug. Why not? So
they wouldn't let us get a side room for Facebook, and we're still giving them a plug. That's very.
But I'll give them a plug since we're recording here. But I'll also say,
and we didn't get a server either.
I'll have to say I did have to wait an abnormally long amount of time to even be acknowledged at the bar. I understand that they're busy, but
they weren't busy at all.
They weren't, and. I didn't even get like the head nod, I'll be with you in a minute, or anything like that. So that is one thing I'll say right now.
This is like the most passive Yelp review ever. We gonna shout you out, but you ain't shit. But shout out you, even though you ain't shit.
But they do have a good beer selection.
Absolutely.
Say that. I'll say that. Happy hour prices and all that good shit.
And
so if you're in Jack London Square in Oakland and don't mind waiting for a drink a little while, come to Plank.
That's funny.
Should I tag them in the social media
Hell
posts on this?
yes, please do.
Let them hear my uncontained review. All right. Enough about our location right now. So I've listened to a couple clips, seen you live at the Layover. That's how we met.
Yeah.
You were hosting a show there. Do you still do that every other Tuesday?
Yeah. Yes. We're like 2 Saturdays a month, and we're like second and fourth Saturday, and first and last Tuesday. And when there's like a fifth Tuesday or a fifth Saturday, we also got that. And and special dates like Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve. Like I run at that day as well. Those days as well.
Okay, yeah, you need something for the people who didn't have dates on Valentine's Day,
Absolutely.
or to take their date too if they want to go see some stand-up comedy.
That's a cash cow for stand-up comedy too. Valentine's Day, oh my God.
Yeah. What is it like performing on Valentine's Day? Is there a different feel about the crowd?
Yes.
That's kind of what I'm wondering.
Yeah, absolutely. My first Valentine's Day show I did when I was like 22, 23. It was in Santa Barbara, and it was cool because it was. I would say the atmosphere is. And then I did one this past year, Valentine's Day in Oakland at the Layover. And it's nice because it's like the couples like just really come wanting a show.
Okay.
And like there's no like impress me. It's just because with certain crowds it's like you have like a kind of asshole like impress me or like it's like especially actually if they don't pay a cover. They'll come even way more entitled if it's a no cover show or it's like at the very least $10. Like it's So it's nice. It's just like they're relaxed. They come in just ready, and then and especially me, like I do a lot of like relationship stuff, so it always works well.
All right. Yeah, I noticed you have a few things about relationships anyway. The 5 fingers, which if you want, you can explain. I'm not trying to bait you into doing your set on the show.
I can tell you how I came up with the bit because I don't want to do it on air. I'll tell you how I came up with it. But yeah, I got to get my YouTube hits up somehow.
I want them to go see you live instead of just hearing your stand up on a podcast.
Okay, but the 5 fingers bit is basically I was scrolling, swiping on Tinder, Bumble, and I noticed like these girls, their bios were like really fucking demanding. It was like. First off, swipe left if da 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 da. It's like, yo, like we're here for a reason. Like we can only be so picky. That was my first thought, and then I was like, wow, like these girls don't like a lot of the ones I'm seeing on the apps, and chances are they're on the apps for good reason. As
Yeah.
was I.
If you're on Tinder, you're probably not pulling in Mr. Right there. You know?
Oh no, Tinder's for trash.
yeah,
Bumble,
yeah.
you get a little bit higher quality.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta learn this stuff. Well,
Hey, you
I
can
don't
go
need to know
Google
I got a girlfriend. I don't want to get in trouble, but
You don't want to get in trouble for knowing? This would actually help the two of you. Like, you see this garbage that's out here, we got to stay together. This is like would help knowing.
Right. Yeah. So be like, okay, let's play a game. This is what I could be with.
Yes, and then it would be good for like, this is what you could be with, guys. Guys asking if you down to fuck tonight. This is what's for you if you leave me.
Yeah, the dude with the unibrow and the white beard being like DTF.
Yes.
All right. So back to how you got to the 5-finger bit.
Yeah. It was basically just seeing like, wow, people like these women out here like really picky on this app. And then there was one time. This was like a funny thing that happened. I was out at a bar, and then this. But I was wingmanning for my boy. He was more into it than I was, and it was these black girls. They were from St. Louis.
Okay.
Yes, I had that at St. Louis, and he's going up trying to talk to them, and I'm just like I'm just doing my wingman thing of like I don't want to be here, but I'm forced to be here, And one girl comes up to me, and she's like, "Where'd you go?" I'm like, "What you mean? Where'd I go?" It's like, "Where'd you go?" I'm like, "You talking about college?" And then she's like, yeah. Where'd you go? Where'd you graduate? And then my man is like, "Yo, my dude Lyall's a stand-up. Like, chill." And he's like, "So you ain't go nowhere? Bye." And then he says, "He's been on Hulu." And then he's like, "Whatever." And then I was just thinking, like, not like that's a big deal or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, that was just like, wow, these girls are like really picky and they can be fucking rude. And I just think it's funny when girls are rude. It's hilarious.
And Hulu's nothing to sneeze at. It's not necessarily. I don't know. I don't know how that rate's compared to, like, say, network television or Comedy Central. But still, it's a television credit, and they should recognize that shit.
Man, I'm not Cody Woods with Heart of the City, but
Hey man. Any television credit's a good television credit from what.
But like just that whole concept was funny to me. It's like we're all at a bar drinking. We're all adults that can afford our drink. And she like went to some college like in the Midwest I had never fucking heard of. St. Holywater University. I don't know.
Okay, so I can kind of see where that came from.
Yeah,
so.
it was the apps and then just certain things. I'm like, wow, that's funny. And then that's how I got there.
So since you mentioned it, let's talk about Hulu for a minute. Like, how did you get set up with Hulu? How did you get on, what was it called? Comedy Time.
Yeah.
Comedy Time with Hulu.
Yeah, it was basically, it was an older comic. I want to say it was Jason Wrestler, but somebody was like, yeah, hit them up. And they record this show at the Ice House, and like it's like a clean 5 minutes.
Okay.
And you got to be approved by the booker, Jan Smith. I don't know if Jan Smith is still there. And I made the mistake when I contacted Jan Smith. I thought Jan Smith was a woman. I was like, "Hello, Miss." I was like 22, 23 at the time, so I was "Hello, Miss Jan Smith." Just wanted to get on, and and then I did my cleanest 7 minutes, and they pick and choose what they want, and you get some nice views and some kind of hurtful comments. There's some nice comments.
Man, the comments, man, if you read them, they can be good or they can be bad. You got to take the good and the bad with kind of a grain of salt. But so Jan was a dude, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I actually went to school with a guy named Jan. He's actually been a guest on my podcast before. He's a manager of bands. So, yeah. Now, when you send out emails to bookers, do you just put "Dear so and so" or "Hello so whatever your name is"?
If I know their name, I will. If I know that, like, if I get it, and I usually get a name for like the gigs I submit to. I 99% of the time I know their name now. But yeah, I send that clip, my avails, all like that is the standard comedian looking for work booking request. It's like booking inquiry in the subject line, and then hello, and you say your name, where you're from, how many years you've been doing it, maybe some credits to people you open for, and then clip and avails.
Okay. All right. Cool. And so people know that aren't comics availables are dates that you have open to perform.
Correct.
So
Yes.
just throw that out there so you're not avails. What is avails? I don't know. Jesus.
Getting all the inside baseball tonight.
Yes. All right. So you messaged Jan, who was a dude, at the Ice House. And then did you have to audition for the set, or did he just look at the clip that you sent for like a 5-minute, 10-minute clip, or what?
Yeah, it was a 10-minute clip that I had recorded at the Purple Onion. Rest in peace.
That was gone before I moved out here, or shortly after I moved out here. So I never got to go, but I've seen like videos of people performing at Purple Onion. It looked really cool. I wish I could have seen it.
It's good energy. North Beach. But yeah. So I sent that, and I got the date, and it's fantastic. It was a good time.
All right, I admittedly don't have Hulu right now, so
neither do I. I don't even watch it. What's funny is the way I found out was multiple people told me they saw me on Hulu.
Okay,
That's how I found out.
So can you look it up on is it on YouTube right now? Could they find that set
absolutely.
whatnot? All right, so either
so
go
skinny
out
and bright-eyed in that clip.
How long ago was this?
I can't even. 12, 13 maybe. 2012, 2013.
Cool. So now you have been touring around, opening up for some big names. I'll just read a couple of them: Paul Mooney,
Yep.
Ali Wong,
Yes.
and Todd Glass.
Yeah.
And I gotta ask you a question: was Ali Wong pregnant when you performed with her?
No. This was.
Are you the father?
So you was the father of Tiger Woods? No. No, this was actually right before she did her set. Not even. Right before her Jay Leno set aired.
Okay.
So that was.
So back before Baby Cobra or whatever it was.
Yeah. This was well before that. So this was 2011, I want to say, and this was at Club Deluxe in the Haight.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say I opened for it. It was like I would say I worked or hosted for it, because there was a spot called Club Deluxe. It was a great room back in the day, ran by Big Al Gonzalez, and famous comics would drop in from time to time. And it was on a Monday in the Haight. It was $5, and the show would run from like 9 p.m. up until midnight, and I would hang out in the back hoping to get up. And one night a bunch of people didn't show up, and then got the word like, okay, Lyall, you can host. And I hosted, and then people dropped in. That was cool. And that was like the first time in comedy. It was fun. I'm still like a little sorry I didn't get paid. I worked like a really long time and I didn't get paid. I'm a little sour about that. I wasn't a year in though, so
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, but that was like the first time I really felt kind of like, oh wow, I'm really doing stand-up comedy. Because I'm with somebody that's about to be, and then I turn on Jay Leno the next night and like, there she is. So it's like a little thing like that. It lets you know like, okay, this isn't that far away.
Yeah.
Even though like it was really far away from the time where I was at, but it was like, okay, this can be done.
Yeah. So another question about who you open for, like Paul Mooney. What was that like? I actually met him about a month back.
I'm too real, homie. homie, please, homie. I'm too real. Yes, homie. That's Mooney right there.
Material, help me.
Yeah, that's Paul Mooney right there.
Okay.
I'm too real. It's real.
It sounds like it. I'm not familiar with that. I apologize.
You met him?
I met him. I met him.
You sure it wasn't
briefly.
a different old gay black man?
No. It was at Paul Mooney Presents.
Okay.
In Oakland a couple months back. Past guest Cody Woods performed on that, and went and checked out that show, and then got to meet him afterwards. Unfortunately, he didn't perform. So
Cody didn't perform. Oh, Mooney.
No, Mooney didn't perform.
Shout out Cody. That's my people. I love Cody.
Yeah, shout out to Cody Woods. He's a good guy. He was on episode 6 of Uncontained, and then 137. So been checking Cody out for a while.
Yeah.
But what was it like? What was it like? Like, how long ago was it that you opened for Mooney?
I did it like twice. It was end of 2012, and I did some date in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
He didn't perform at the Paul Mooney Presents show. He just
because he was
so.
he was like, I'm I mean, like a show like that is like a cash grab for Mooney because like he
Yeah.
can put his name on it and then whatever comics
Sell
he
tickets
wants
for
and, like,
twice as much as those comics would normally pull in.
and then paid him twice
and
as
then
much as the tickets he's selling for it.
He's like,
Paul Mooney didn't pay shit. Like we had to. I did not enjoy that. Well, you know, I enjoyed it in the sense where like I'm opening for a legend.
yeah.
But I didn't enjoy it in the sense where it's like you're performing for, like I had to fight like his nephew. I had to like we had to like damn near beg this nigga for like pizza and drinks and shit. That was like a little. But at the same time, it's like you get to say like you're asking me what it was like to open for Paul Mooney. But at the same time, as a performer, you still kind of want that like what the fuck like.
And that gives you a little exposure too that you wouldn't have, and also something else you could put in that. Well, something else you
Exposure?
can put in that. Well,
Really?
Okay, I'll put it this way.
I
Maybe
feel
not
that term
exposure.
gets used too often.
Maybe not exposure. Maybe
Okay,
maybe
yeah.
not exposure, but it gives you social cred. Like when you're like emailing a booker, be like, "Dear Mr. Jan,
Yeah, that is true.
I open
That
for
is true.
Paul Mooney. I open for Ali Wong, and all that." So
That
you
is
know,
true. And that's the unfortunate thing though about the business of stand up comedy is that like a lot of shit is like, oh well, you should just be happy to be here.
yeah,
And that's like the part of the business that I really fucking hate. Is the like you should be glad you're here.
yeah. So I think it's that way in a lot of like industries, like music as well. Like
Yeah.
I grew up with a lot of bands that opened for like national acts, and it's kind of like a lot of times they were like pretty much bringer shows. They had tickets they had to sell in order to open for that band, and got paid nothing for it except for what they sold in tickets. So
And some of them will just like pay the tickets themselves and then
yeah.
Like you know what I got 300 reasons why I should perform. Here's $300.
Yeah, and then just pay your way and then give away tickets to people
Yeah.
coming in. So try to get people in the crowd. That's one definite way to do it.
I do have a funny story though about Mooney though.
Okay,
that
let's
I
hear a
heard.
story about Mooney.
This is what I heard. Okay, so one, I actually did not talk to Mooney because I was like, there was like in the booking email that was CC'd to me and like two, three other comics. It was like, be very careful with Mr. Mooney, the way you address him and everything, and like that. They told us like, and I was like, all right, well, I don't want to get kicked off the show, so I'm not even going to jeopardize that. And then one comic, he told me like, he was like, yeah, he was the guy that put me on the first time, and Leroy Stanfield.
Okay.
Shouts out Leroy. But he said he went up to Mr. Paul Mooney, and he said like, how's it going, Mr. Paul Mooney? It's a pleasure to open for you. I really appreciate this. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. And Paul Mooney said, I have 2 words for you, young man. And he said, yeah, what? Hi, nigga, and bye, nigga. And he walked away.
That's a warm welcome right there.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite stories. And then one of my boys on the way out, he actually came. That was another thing that like kind of just pissed me off. And like a bunch of people, because it's comics, you get like a lot of, oh man, I'm gonna come out and see you. And a bunch of people that like never came out to see me when it was like free or $10. Like they came out when it was like $40 to see Mooney. Like, oh, I'm gonna come out to see you now. I'm like, yeah, fuck you. But they came out. It was funny. One of my boys came to the show, and then he was outside, and then Paul was like, young man, buy these shirts. And he's like, oh man, I ain't got money. I spent all my money on drinks. He's like, you're a broke nigga. Get out of here. I don't want to be around broke niggas. It was the funniest thing in the world. And I saw Paul Mooney steal chips from a vendor. That was also really funny right before he got on stage.
Really, he just stole chips from
He
like
just put
there.
I mean, I guess it's not technically stealing, but the way he did it was really funny. Like he just put some chips in his vest and walked away. It was very funny.
Oh man, but the thing you were saying about like how your friends didn't come see you for $10, but they come see you for $40 with Mooney, it kind of goes back to what you were saying at the beginning of the episode, where like when we were talking about the Valentine's show or whatever, when people pay nothing to get into the show, they feel more entitled to voice their opinion, maybe heckle a little bit. But when they actually pay solid money, they're like, okay, I paid for this. I better just sit back and enjoy this shit.
Absolutely. That's why I pretty much just work out on free shows, because the people that they come in and they're like, oh well, I could do that. I got jokes too. But when you get, and that's typically the type of people. That's like their understanding of comedy is like very pedestrian. Like typically when it's not, or it's even below pedestrian. But then when you get like people paying a cover, it's like it's either they know the comic, or they're familiar with the venue and the comedy, or they just really want to see some comedy.
Okay, so what do you mean by pedestrian or below pedestrian?
Okay, that's a good question. That's a great question. Is what I mean by that is you have these people where they don't realize, one, the people that text during the show, fuck them. Like they say, turn your phones off. You're sitting in the front row and you're texting during the show, you asshole. So that's one level of it. People that just feel the need to like yell out things, like I was and then like interjecting and trying to add their little joke and trying to get a joke off. It's like, dude,
throwing out their own
shit.
tags and shit like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. People at the shows that really just want to have very annoying conversations with you, like that's. Like I don't know if you picked that when you excuse me. I don't know if you picked that up when you introduced yourself to me. I was a little on guard, like, yeah, what's up? And
I understand that, man. I understand that
because I
completely.
meet like a lot of idiots after shows, and
I'm
you're
an
obviously
idiot.
not one of them.
I'm an idiot.
Not in the way that they are. Not in the way that they are.
No, but I understand exactly what you mean because I worked for a radio station for 7 years.
Okay.
All right. I'd always have people coming up to me, talking, "Hey, do you remember me from this one moment that we met?" And I was like, "Dude, you have to explain," or something like that, or asking me, like, "Hey, dude, why don't you play this on the radio station? Why do you play so much of this?" When I had no fucking control over it. But they'd come up to me and just rant at me or ask me random music trivia, which, believe it or not, even like as a rock station DJ or any DJ, you have to know pretty much crap about all forms of music, and because people will ask you about
playing that music,
even if you're not playing that music, like hip hop, people would ask me about country, and I got to know some of the stuff about country, even though, I don't wear nut huggers or a belt buckle the size of my forehead. But I got to know some of that shit just because, people ask me so many things, and me being curious, I looked that shit up. But, yeah, you have that one person, especially drunk people, like after a show or whatever, coming up to you like, hey, man, I listened to you on the radio. I listen to your stand-up on YouTube or something like that, and just not making any sense. But in a way, once part of the reason why I started up this podcast, along with interviewing people who are interesting and getting advice for people looking to get started out, I kind of, honestly, after not having that, started to miss that shit.
You missed annoying questions?
Not necessarily annoying questions, but like having a voice and being kind of recognized out in public a little bit. And, I moved from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where everywhere I went, somebody knew me, to out here in the Bay Area.
You were like the motherfucking man in Cedar Rapids.
What's that?
You were like the motherfucking man in Cedar Rapids.
I don't want to throw me up on that stats, but people knew who I was. I'll just say that. I'll be modest.
Cedar Rapids, I'm just not that hard to be the motherfucking man.
Ashton Kutcher's from Cedar Rapids.
Who is?
Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, okay.
So,
Kutcher.
yeah,
I never heard it said like that.
I'm sorry. I probably
sounded kind of Canadian.
Kutcher, eh?
Yeah. No, okay, yeah. You were like the Krusty the Clown of.
Hey, kids.
Yeah, where it's like you're the guy on TV that's like around.
Yeah.
Sense.
So, but people knew who I was. I wasn't like that status. But let's see. At this point, is there anything I haven't asked you that you wished I would have asked you?
Yeah, but I'd probably ask you to bleep it out later. I'm like, I shouldn't have said that shit. It would probably just be like a bunch of venting and like, do we need that on Uncontained? Do we need to be that uncontained?
Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's necessary. But if you don't want to go into rant mode, it's all right. So the first part of this podcast, as I told you earlier, was about what you have going on, your story. Now, this second half is kind of to help the person who is looking to get started doing stand-up comedy or in the entertainment industry. So what advice do you have for somebody who is maybe looking to get either started in stand-up or take that next step to start getting booked on shows?
I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, like, if you want to do it, just write 3 minutes worth of jokes and bits, even if you're telling stories up there, make sure you have jokes and like a solid structure if you just want to do it, and go to an open mic, go to a place that is an environment you would feel comfortable. just do that and just keep going like once a week or whatever, and see how you like it.
All right. So
I actually think doing it the first time is very easy. Because you meet so many people, like yourself included, they're like, I did stand-up once. I did a little bit of stand-up. So everybody's done a little bit of stand-up. So just getting on the stage is the easy part. Coming back is the hard part.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I did stand-up probably about 3-4 years. So when I moved out here, I didn't quite fall into the scene yet. So that's part of the reason why I started up this podcast.
What do you mean you fall into the scene?
Like, I ended up, having a job where I was working past, like, when a lot of the open mic nights and then, like, I didn't, like, find I didn't find a group. I didn't find, I did a few open mic nights, Dirty Tricks.
Like a social group?
Not necessarily a social group, but I didn't feel like, I was making any connections with how infrequently I was able to go. So what I decided instead is I'd start up this podcast and get to know some people and make some connections. And then for when I was ready to start focusing on doing stand-up a little bit more, I'd have some people to be like, hey, man, can I get some stage time? Or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's getting closer and closer. I've been talking about it on this show for a while, and I've been starting to write some stuff recently.
This podcast really just a support group for you to do stand-up.
This is a support.
Yeah, you got this. Like,
Yes. I need some pats on the back and shit. No, like a lot of what I want to do is this podcast.
Yeah.
I want to do stand-up and also voiceover.
Okay.
So those are the three things I want to do, and eventually cut ties with a regular day job.
What makes you want to go into that line of work?
Well,
Showbiz 101. This is how the fuck you take over a podcast.
Yeah, I'm being interviewed now. Thank you. I shouldn't have asked you if you
This
had
is how
any
the fuck
questions.
you do it, baby.
All
You're
right,
listening.
so I'll lay down on the couch and let you ask me some questions, and it'll be like a therapy session. But I've always wanted to get into the entertainment industry. I've been fascinated with stand-up my whole life.
Yeah.
All right. Back in the day when the only place you could see
How
stand-up.
old are you? You said back in the day. How old are you?
I am 38. All right, so back in the day
You're 10
when
years older than me. On the dot.
All right.
You're born in 80?
I still have my boyish charm, but
Yeah. Were you born in 80?
April of 1980. Yeah.
I was born in September 1990. So yeah.
Okay.
10 years on the
cool,
dot.
man. 10 years on the dot. So back in the day, you could really the only place you could find stand up besides occasionally on Comedy Central and A&E was Comic View. So I'd watch Comic View on BET like all the time just to see stand up.
That makes sense now, because you had some black comic, like when you have black comics with stage names on. I
Yeah.
was like, well, this seems different. Like this is, and like that makes sense though now. That you came up off of Comic View.
Yeah. So I listened to like the D.L. Hughley, D.C. Curry,
DL's cool
Bernie
shit.
Mac,
Yeah.
all that shit growing up, along with numerous others. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been a lover of stand-up comedy. I started in radio. I got into radio in college, and then through that, I got into doing stand-up comedy. I actually got a chance to get on stage, and my first show was probably in front of about 150 people.
Your
which
first
was
comedy show?
My first comedy show.
Was that via? Where was that at?
That was at First Avenue Live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Was that? Did you get the spot? Because I know like a lot. Because I got a friend, Brian Moore, who he stopped doing stand up, but he was a good comic at the time he was doing it. But his first gig was via him being on the radio.
Okay.
So was it that kind of thing where it's like you opened up from being like the kind of funny guy on the radio?
So, in a way, yes. I'm not going to say it didn't open any doors for me. I met this guy, Don Trenagle. He's a stand-up comic. I interviewed him on my radio show, and he actually came out to this bar in Cedar Rapids called Tornadoes. And I typically hate karaoke, but the way I make karaoke interesting to me is I do impersonations of, say, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Christopher Walken doing songs. So, like, for example, like I did like Purple Rain split up between those two. Like, yeah, so it's like, yeah, I never meant to leave you crying, standing in the purple rain. And then, yeah, and I don't remember enough of the lines from that song to go into it. But I'll wrap this up quick so we can get back to you. But he ended up liking my impersonations of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I told him I wanted to do stand-up. And it was like, well, I'll give you a chance to do stand-up if you want. You know, I got the show, First Avenue Live. You can come open up for it. It's in like 3 weeks. So I was like, right there, my like heart kind of like sunk down, like, oh shit, this is real. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So what I ended up doing is I kind of stole from my radio show, like the jokes I'd made on the radio show, and put them in front of people. So I'd make fun of bands, I'd make fun of artists on the radio. And when a song was whiny, I'd make fun of them. So I kind of took what I did on the radio, which I didn't necessarily know if people were laughing at or finding funny, and ended up throwing that on stage in front of people. And once I got that first laugh, it was like, hell yeah, dude.
Would you say you had a good set that first time?
It felt like it. Looking back at it, it's like, okay, that was a little rough. I was like pacing back and forth, you know, and
doing the Chris Rock thing.
In a way, yeah.
That was what I did when I first started. I did the pacing thing.
Yes.
And then it's like, no, you look nervous when you do it because you're like performing in like a bar at 6 p.m. at an open mic. It's like Chris is at the Apollo. Like this.
But yeah, you can still hear though the radio in me, because
I hear it
like
right now.
With radio, any dead air is bad air. Like, so, like, I'd be talking really fast. I'd be, like, talking, like, okay, so I got this joke, and I'm just rushing, never taking a breath in between, and just going through my set and talking. But, you know, this isn't even really what my radio voice was. I didn't have the over-the-top radio voice, but I definitely had a different voice. But got on stage, I did my set, and, yeah, it actually went really well. People laughed. But looking back at it, like, I could definitely tell a difference from my first time doing it and a couple of years in, you know?
Yeah.
So, what was your first time like?
Man, my first time doing stand-up, it was surprising. I got up at this place because I had these friends that were rappers.
Okay.
And what they would do was, it was this place, I think they still do it. It's Starry Plow in Berkeley.
Okay.
I buy my weed across the street from there now. But anyways, so like they would go there and like, cause you know a lot of like these mixed open mics like no rap music, so they would do like these spoken word poems about killing people, and act like it was spoken word poetry. Like,
no, this isn't rap, it's poetry.
Yeah, it's like, I have more money than you, bitch. I will kill a snitch. Like, it was that type of shit, right? And then they're like, yo, man, you should do comedy. And I was like, yeah, fine, fuck it, why not? And this was September 2010. I just turned 20 years old. And I got on stage, and I was doing my little impressions or whatever, and it was kind of... And especially, like, even now, still, like, a music stage is way bigger than your typical comedy stage.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I was up there. Like, so the stage, still very, very, very fucking big. So I'm up there just trying to do jokes, and it's like not working the way, you know, some stuff is hitting, some stuff is missing. And then at one point, this is when the Hangover came out, around or like a little after that. So I had like a shirt up when Zach Galifianakis had like the white baby, the little baby strapped to his chest.
Yeah.
I had like a shirt that was of that.
Okay.
And then one dude in the crowd yelled out, why do you have a white baby on your t-shirt? And I said, because I'm taking care of your kids, motherfucker. And then like the whole place went great, like, oh shit. And then I was like, oh my god, I'm a comedian. Like, and then I went back the next week and bombed, and I didn't really know where to find comedy open mics, so I kept going there. And I made the mistake, I took a girl that I liked there, and I bombed horribly, and she didn't really see me after that, and I'm 90% sure it was because of that, but I was...
It's like, I can't be with somebody that bombed.
Yeah.
Finger number one. Where'd you go to college? Finger number two.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Right on, man. Right on. So what was it that kept you getting back up on stage after you bombed?
I honestly felt like... Because like when I started, I only got up 2 times a week. I got up on Tuesdays at New Parish, which at the time before, this was like right before Oakland got like really gentrified, right? So it was like a cool black urban spot, like it, because you go to New Parish now, and like the bathrooms are like disgusting, and it's like they got like the dubstep nights, like on Wednesdays, and it's But at the time, it was like some fly kind of felt like some LA black shit, like where it's like it felt like some low key Diddy shit when you walk in there, and so you had like that type of crowd. Then I would do the Brainwash, where it's like kind of more hipster, white SF, and I'd do both of those places. And there was a time where I was like back and forth. I was like, I bomb at one and then do out the other, and then I was like a sports team that was like a 500 team.
Okay.
And then basically just wanting to get the both of them was the one thing that kept me going back. So the other thing that kept me going back was I just really felt like I had something, and I felt like I was just like, okay, I know my execution is off, but I know like because I know like my theories and what I'm saying is funnier than what they have to say, and I got more to say about the world than they do, but I'm just not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So that was, and then just staying the course was what did it, and then I stayed the course, and say things worked out.
Right on, man. Right on. So, like, what are you doing right now to promote yourself? Anything specific with social media? Anything outside the box?
Question. So you say like promote yourself? It's like
either to people, like an audience, or actually to clubs as well. I know there's two different sides.
With clubs and work, it's just emails.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because it's funny you say that, and like this is something I'm also tie this in with something you said earlier. Is you say like promote yourself? One thing I'm not about, and I think I'm not about promotion for the sake of promotion.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a fan of like if you don't have content. I'm kind of like for you promoting yourself, that makes perfect sense. But for me, it's like I'm not really about promoting yourself when there's like really no content to be had. Like I was having I won't say the name, but I was having a conversation with a comic, and like they do, and I've had this conversation with a few comics actually. It's like where they're into like the Instagram sketches and all that stuff, but they can't stand on stage for more than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Like, what's the point in 20,000 followers if you can't be funny on stage for 20 minutes? So
fair enough.
And then to tie
unless
that
you're
back
promoting yourself as a sketch comic.
Yeah, but that's not their ultimate goal. Their goal is to do the sketch comedy to promote them actually being on stage.
Okay.
If it was the other way around, if they were just strictly doing that, I'm like, yeah, keep doing your thing. But if your goal is to like really be a stand-up, I think like, because my thing is I don't want to bombard people if I don't have a project to serve you with. I don't want to be in your face all the time.
Okay.
Like if I don't have an album, a big like this New Year's, like the New Year's Eve show coming up, I'm gonna be in motherfuckers' faces for New Year's Eve show. But
all right, do you do something to kind of stay in their mind, grow your following a little bit online, or like so when you do have something to promote, you have somebody to promote it to?
That's interesting. I really just talk my shit. I mean,
okay.
not to sound arrogant or anything, but because I definitely have like you're gonna have some people listening to this like, this guy's an asshole. A fan of me is you really a fan of Lyall Behrens? Is you are here just to hear like you're around for my take. Like, so if you're with me on Facebook, if you're with me on Twitter, you're with me on Instagram, you're really around for like my take on what's going on in the world today, this week. Some random stuff I thought of. That's what you're here for. You're really here around for my philosophy. Like, my audience is not people that want to see me like in a car doing some crazy dance to a rap song that's out. That's not like the people that like that stuff, they don't even fuck with me. The people that like my stuff, like hearing philosophy, like you brought up the Five Fingers, because I guess you can say it's a signature bit of mine now.
Yeah.
The people that really rock with me, like they want to hear like my take on like what's your A to Z. That's the people that like. They don't want like some fast food comedy.
All right. So the way I was taking it at first was like that you only promote or on social media when you have something to promote, but you still have a presence on social media. You're like just posting like your take on things throughout, not necessarily saying go see my show, but you're like, dude, I saw this one thing happen, and this is my take on that.
Yeah, because I mean, my thing is like, and without sounding like pretentious, is like I really feel like I'm like really more of an artist than like I'm trying to not like I don't want to be not like I would shun being famous and having money and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But my thing is like I don't like I like the cake, but I don't give a fuck about the icing. You know, like I don't really care about. I don't really care about all the likes and all that other because like the people that rock with me. Like that's what is more appealing to me.
Right on. So you're going after those loyal fans,
Yeah,
and
like, I don't
not
wanna just be
just
like
people peeping in the windows, window shopping.
because you know what is with a lot of comics is I feel like a lot of comics just secretly want to be rappers or DJs or party promoters, and they just want to be liked and they don't have a fucking thing to say. Like they just want to be at the cool kids quote unquote table. They want to be at the adults, but they don't really have like, oh, this is my take on this. This is my A to Z. This is my philosophy. They just want to be, without not talking shit about because some of these people I'm talking about are my friends.
No,
but,
that's very interesting, dude.
Yeah,
because it seems like a lot of comedians want to be musicians, and a lot of musicians actually want to be comics. Like, because like if you go see like a punk show or something like that, they're always making jokes. They crack jokes on stage. They always try to be funny. Even some like rappers, metal singers, and everything like that, even try to make jokes on stage. Some of them are funny. Some of them aren't.
I saw this thing. It was at the the very unfortunate Vegas shooting, and I saw there was like some band. I saw like some headline and like it was like some band like cracked the joke at like the expense. The joke was something to the effect of like, well, hey, those people were country fans, so it couldn't be all bad. And like that was a joke that would like obviously some bad taste and like you shouldn't have said that. But that's like an open mic. Like that's like a frustrated open micer right there. Like the guy that said that.
Yeah,
that's the guy that wants to do comedy.
Exactly. That's going for that shock value, which I did my share of that, but I also tried to make it clever. If I did the shock value, I tried to make a clever turn to it, or if I did a dick and fart joke, I'd try to make a clever turn to it. But I understand exactly what you're saying right there. Now. All right, so you basically promote yourself when you have something big going on. What would be something that would be a highlight?
That's because for me, it's like the times on stage is like, well, without sounding like all corny and sentimental, it's like they're like my children. Like, whereas like every time is different. So it's like I could tell you about the time. Like there's one show I did where it's like we went all the way out to it was like Redlands down and the IE Orange County, like the Inland Empire is very boring. It's just it's like San Jose in the desert for miles.
Okay.
Yeah. But I did some like it was like this mixed open mic and it was like a campfire and it was like a little campfire around kind of like we're around a fire but it was like this huge fire pit, and then people go up, they do a guitar, they actually allowed rap music, it was everything. And I went up and I did like my first really legit 20 minutes for the first time, and like,
oh yeah,
that was and I was just performing for a bunch of artists and like two of my comic friends, but that was a moment where I'm like, wow, that was so for me it's like I don't really think like I performed for like 500 people in theaters, I've opened up for like these cool people and these cool names, but for me it's like this. It's not just the stuff that happens on stage. It's like the whole experience with it, where I'm like, "Oh, that was a good time."
Okay, all right, cool. So it's more about the show than the actual, like, individual show.
Yeah, because I mean, like, it's like I have good sets like a lot of the fucking time. Like, so having like a good or even like a great where it's like, "Oh, it was applause breaks and you did this and you did that." It's like that's because there were shows where it's like I destroyed it.
Yeah,
like I had to show like there's a clip on YouTube with this guy yelling out "killing." Like I've had those types of sets, and then after the show, like I'm on like the train or at the airport, just kind of say like okay, well, what, and just feeling kind of somewhat unfulfilled or whatever, just like two by yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things like that, like they're cool, but
so like. I've kind of experienced that as well, like the super high from the show.
Well, that's how you get
being
jaded
on
too as a comic.
What's that?
That's how you get jaded as well as a comic. It's like, and I'm guilty of this. Definitely, I talked about this with Cody as well.
Right.
About how Like, except because Cody works the road a lot too, and
Yeah.
I've done my fair share of road work. Not as much as him, but because I'm like 8 years in, you reach a certain point where you're just kind of like, okay, another show. And this is what I want to bring back when you said like the thing about exposure is
Yeah.
a lot of people will try to get like comedians, musicians, whoever, DJs to like perform for like nothing, bullshit, and they'll be like, oh, it's great exposure. Who the fuck is the exposure for? Is some execs from NBC gonna be in the front row? Oh, well, it's people. They might follow you on social media. And what the fuck are they gonna do for me? Get the fuck out of here with exposure, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how you can kind of get jaded. It's like you go through, especially as a stand-up comic, because like we're different than like musicians and even DJs in the sense where like we perform like every night if we want to, but like we perform a lot.
All right. So when somebody does come and see you perform, all right, comes out to your show, whether it's the $10 show or the $40 show with Paul Mooney, what is
where
it
I don't get paid? Yes,
where you don't get paid, but they pay more to see you. Yes, the beauties of show business.
Right?
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what is it that you want your audience to remember and take away from your show?
That's a good. You know, it's changed over the years.
Okay, that's interesting.
In the beginning, it was that's a bad motherfucker right there. It was like in the beginning, my goal, and this is how I think I got like to be above average as a comic. I don't want to say I'm great, but above average.
Okay,
is my goal was I want you to forget about every comic you saw before me, and you're gonna see after me.
Okay,
that's my goal in the beginning, and then, but to do that, and there are a lot of comics to do that. But I feel to do that type of comedy, like I was doing a lot of generic shit. Like I was doing a lot of impressions. I was doing shit that was, I don't want to say hack, but it was easy. It was easy.
So do you view impressions as hack?
No.
Or
that's interesting. I feel like it's how you go about doing them. Like I feel like if you go like, you know, imagine Al Pacino at the DMV, like, yeah, that's hack. But if you find like the way, to me, like the most creative way impressions were ever done was Eddie Murphy on Delirious.
All right.
Like the way he did that was bar none.
Yeah, I wish he was still doing stand-up comedy, man. And, you know, he's on just movies now. I wonder what he would be like if he actually was able to put out a stand-up special now, or would he be able to after not doing it for so many years?
I've had that thought about Eddie, and what's funny is because Eddie's like one of my all-time favorites.
Of course,
is because I'll watch Eddie on like a Jay Leno or like I'll watch him on the couch, and he'll low key be doing bits. So like when he got the award at the Kennedy Center honors, and he did like the whole Bill Cosby thing. It's like Hannibal Behrens, I'm going to kill that nigger, and like he was like really he did like a whole thing as Cosby. I'm like Yeah, because I feel like Eddie does bits just hanging out, and like I don't know if you saw this picture. It's on Instagram. It was a dinner with Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Dwayne Wade, Gabrielle Union, Eddie Murphy, Usher, and I don't know, 3 other famous black people, and not as famous because I can't remember them. And
must not be.
Yeah, right. And then they asked like how the dinner was, and Chris and both Kevin said Eddie was funnier than anybody at the table. And like I hear that like Eddie Murphy is hilarious. Like just hanging out. We're like if the shit that you said, because I heard that about like Michael Jordan. Like, man, if you think what Michael Jordan did in that game was amazing, you should have saw what he did in a scrimmage. If you saw what he did in practice, it's nothing like what he did in the game. And I'm like, wow, like imagine what like Eddie Murphy just kicking it. Like if he was just kicking it with us, like it's cold as shit. Like
if Kevin Hart said that and Chris Rock said that has to be pretty impressive right there. Yeah. Because like when I was interviewing Cody just a couple weeks back, he was talking about Kevin Hart and how he is always on. And some people need a spark to be funny. He just creates funny. So
he was funny kicking it.
Yeah, with Kevin Hart, like he's like Kevin Hart is always on. He's like he just is funny. That's Kevin Hart. With him saying that about Eddie Murphy still, that's kind of impressive right there.
Yeah. One thing I find interesting about is, Eddie Murphy has only had 2 drinks in his life.
What?
That's what he said. He said, Eddie, because I saw an interview, he said, I've only had, because, I had a father that was an alcoholic. The 2 drinks I had in my life was, I remember on Trading Places, I actually got in a fist fight with the director, and Arsenio got me drunk. And then the other time was I had a flight and there was problems with the plane. It was a storm. I had some drinks in and I only had drinks 2 times in my life.
Really?
I don't know how true that is, but
wow, that's
But I believe
interesting. I didn't necessarily. I would have thought like back in the Delirious and Raw days, he was like just getting like drunk all the damn time. Performing shows. He just had that party atmosphere to him, that party persona. But
I think it was pussy for Eddie though, honestly. Because I mean, you gotta think like Eddie was like the first like black superstar we had that was not through music.
Okay.
Because every other black superstar we had, like up until then, it's like what it was like either like before that, like let's look at all the black superstars we had before Eddie Murphy. It's like Richard Pryor.
I was gonna ask, what about
Cosby.
Pryor?
Pryor and Cosby were superstars. I think. Pryor had like what a $40 million deal with Universal, something like that. Cosby definitely, and he even took it further. I think after Eddie, like with the Cosby Show, I think Bill took it further. But before that, it's like who are our black superstars? O.J. Simpson, he's a superstar.
Okay, yeah. Well, you had sports superstars, yeah.
Yeah, but O.J. was really the first. Like O.J. was before Dr. J and Michael Jordan, though. O.J. was the first black superstar. But that's why Eddie's great though, because like Eddie was the first. Also, in my opinion, Eddie Murphy was the first like black actor that talked regular. Because before that, you had Sidney Poitier that was like, "They call me sir," and then you had like, I'm J.J. Walker, motherfucker, and on Good Times, and like Eddie was the first guy that was just kind of like a regular ass black dude.
Okay, so it was either like really proper like Sidney Poitier or like J.J.
Jive.
Walker and Dynamite like
it was
jive.
like jive talk.
Yeah, you
type
jive
shit.
turkey.
Yeah,
Like that shit,
And Eddie was like the first guy that like really. I mean, I feel like Eddie Murphy is really a national treasure. Even Eddie said when he met Barack Obama said, I have an executive order. I need you to do more stand-up. Like, so everyone was Eddie.
I agree with that executive order, damn
Yeah.
it. And I do like to compliment you on your Eddie Murphy impersonation and even your Barack Obama right there. That was pretty good. So I like to, give credit where credit's due.
See, that's the thing about me with stand-up is like because I started out doing impressions, but I always felt like I had and like comics that like really really like my shit will be like, why the fuck are you doing impressions? You smart. You have so much to say. Do you have other comics that'll be like, dude, your impressions are great, and audience members obviously, man, like your impressions are great. So it's like that's the thing. I would say that's like my biggest struggle as a performer is like I do this one thing really well where it's like, okay, I do the impressions and I know I can get the applause breaks, but then at the same time, like I have these opinions about the world and these things to say, and not to say I'm right, but I speak freely. I'm uncontained.
Hell yeah!
Drop that bomb. No, I'm just kidding.
Mic drop.
Right? No, but it's like I'm uncontained. I'm very honest, and it's very because like both those. I mean, I think I do it well for the way I do it, but I think when you have like these very strong opinions about the world, and then you just kind of like are doing cartwheels and being impressive for the audience, it's kind of hard to choose which route.
It's kind of the I guess the dilemma is between being a comic and an audience comic, or finding the line between. So
yes, and for me it's like I never got the appeal of being like an audience comic because like I have because like within the Bay Area in LA I'm well liked, but I would say enough, but in the Bay Area like I'm by far the darling for comedy, even though I outperform a lot of these motherfuckers, but they are very, very about being a comics, and like I would say a lot of, actually, interesting enough, not the people you've had on your show.
Okay.
Nobody you've had on your show. I'm speaking about, but a lot of like the comics you find in like the deep SF, they perform for the back of the room. They don't perform for the front of the room.
So what do you mean by that?
So I would say perform like the back of the room is typically where the comics stand, and like the comics are in the back of the room.
Okay.
And then audience is actually front, middle row, and so on and so forth. So you have a lot of and like there are plenty of fantastic comics out of San Francisco, but you have a lot of comics that like they're kind of more about like, let me impress my peers.
Okay.
And then I feel like this is what's interesting, especially about comedy in the Bay Area, because I feel comedy in the Bay Area is way more segregated than any scene I've ever seen.
Like how so? Like racially or like hipster wise or
racially
like
to an extent,
genre wise?
Racially to an extent, but more genre wise.
Okay.
So I would say, man, I wish Cody was here right now. He would love this. We had this conversation, but I would say, yeah, definitely racially wise, but more so, but even more so, I would say style wise, because I would say you have, like, SF is, let me be clever, let me have the journalists and the publications like me, which is smart. You do want to have the media and all that shit on your side. Like, you know, just look at our president. But they are more like, all right, I want to impress my peers, and I want to be in good standing with my peers. Whereas, like, if you look at the guys like, you know, more the black comics that typically have stage names and nicknames and shit, they are more about, I want to impress the fucking audience. I don't care if this is kind of like, if Bernie Mac kind of already did this shit. My goal is to make the crowd go fucking crazy however I do it. If I got to bring out props, if I got to do fucking cartwheels while doing the hula hoop, I will do whatever it takes to rock that motherfucker. Like, that's what you'll find with more of the black and Latino and a few of the white comics are kind of more, you'll find it like a Tommy T's, Laughs Unlimited, and whatnot. Like, whereas in San Francisco, it's like, as I said earlier, and I've always felt like out of place doing comedy out here, because I'm always like, yeah, I want to be impressive, but then I also want to say some real shit, and I still want to be creative, and I've always felt like I'm very in the middle.
Okay.
Of all that.
All right, so
because I could rock both. Like, I could like do some hood shit, and at the same time, I could perform for like some nerdy ass techies that like are like, you know, fresh out of college and, you know, fresh into the real world, and I could like rock both equally as well. But I'm not either of their darling. Whereas like, and this is like back to what you said, what I do to promote myself is I feel like if you fuck with me, like, you fuck with me for my take on stuff, because I'm not a genre comic.
Okay.
I don't fuck with genres.
That's a whole interesting, like, dilemma there between pleasing the crowd, pleasing other comics, because pleasing other comics can get you other gigs, but pleasing the crowd can get you money, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you just pleased comics, it's in a way, it's kind of like some of the, like, Citizen Kane type movies in a way that pleases the critics.
Yes, yes.
You know,
there's nobody
where,
like, oh, let me put on Citizen Kane.
And then there's like, you know, just the action movies like Die Hard or some like Gone in 60 Seconds or something like that. You know, that pleases the crowd. Those are the ones that like the critics hate, but they still do good at the box office, even though there's no real, you know, I don't want to say depth to them. But
you can turn your brain off watching Die Hard. You can't turn your brain off watching Citizen Kane.
Exactly. Die Hard provides an escape. Citizen Kane provides, like, who the fuck is Rosebud?
Now, see, to make that, I love that analogy you made, by the way. That was great.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm like the Goodfellas of comedy, where it's like,
I love that movie.
It's great. I was watching last night, you know, and where like I feel like, okay, I got that like pop shit, and I can like get y'all going quick, and like I know the quick spots, but it's like, I'm gonna need my time. I'm gonna need my time. Well, I'm gonna need my time. I'm gonna take my time to get into it. And I'm like, I'm not just about like saying some instant shit that you guys will like. Here's my thing with comedy.
All right, let's hear this.
There's a thing where they say, oh, a good comic will say what everybody's thinking, and you know, but won't say. Yeah, fuck that. My thing is, I want to say what everybody's feeling, but cannot articulate.
Okay.
That's what I like.
That is different. It sounds kind of the same, but I can definitely feel a difference.
Okay, let me ask you this honestly. Did you think I was an asshole when you met me?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Okay.
Like, I knew you were getting ready to do a show. You were busy. Since I've been in, like, quote unquote the entertainment business or whatnot. I've hosted shows. I've done stuff like that. I understand your mind's in a different place or whatever.
Yeah.
I just wanted a few quick words with you to throw out. Hey, plant the seed. Hey, I have this podcast. I'd love to have you on and all that good shit. But no, I didn't think you were a dick. Maybe because I understood. But I don't know. Maybe somebody else who isn't necessarily in the entertainment
This actually
industry.
a good podcast too. Because, like, I've done podcasts before, and, like, that was why it took so long to hit you up, and I was reluctant, because I'd done podcasts, and, like, the motherfuckers just end up talking about themselves and their theories in the world. I'm like, I'm just looking for a platform to interview yourself, nigga, and you're using this shit as an excuse. But, like, you actually ask questions, and it's,
I don't interview people that I have no interest in. Or if there's been some times where I've, like...
interview people you don't think are talented, but not...
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
There's been some guests that I've had where it's like, okay, I need a guest. I'll take this guy.
Yeah.
But it's my job. It's my job as a
To make it
host
interesting.
to find something interesting about that person and bring it out. So, it's like now I'm talking about myself. I'm being that dick you're talking about.
No, but this is like, no, because this is my shit, though. This is my fucking shit, right? Whereas podcast dropping soon. No, but this is my shit, right? My shit is, I really like, especially like if you see me live and like if I'm doing like 30, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
It's like I really talk, and I like having a dialogue. I like a certain honesty because I feel like there's a lot of humor and honesty that I feel like a lot of people don't. Because like I was talking about, and again, like not shitting on other comments, just saying I don't do what most of those guys do. Not that I'm better. I don't do what those guys do. And I feel like everybody is... Because I feel the best comedy is connection. The best art, fuck comedy. The best art is connection. And you get the best art when you can like really... And I feel like that's the beauty of stand-up comedy is because at its worst, it can be cheap as fuck. And then at its best, it can be better than anything in the world, especially live. And my thing is, like, I like we're having this dialogue. And, like, that's just, like, my live show. It's, like, I like when I can really... Like, I did this one set. I said, because it was on my mind. I don't know if you were at the show, but I said, it was something like, why is it that white dudes and non-black dudes ask their girl if they've ever been with a black dude? And then from there, a very beautiful... hilarious dialogue was started between me and the audience, and it was great. And to me, it was like in my mind, it's like that's what stand-up comedy should be.
I think I know why it is.
Yo, please tell.
No, because they want to prove that once you go black, you never go back is false.
Okay.
No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I've never actually asked that.
I don't think you're wrong about
I've never
that.
asked that, but it just brought me back to this one. Went to this comedy show, and somebody came up to me because I was like the one white dude in the crowd, and was like, nobody says bro anymore. How did they say brah? I'm gonna try to say it with me. Then they asked my girlfriend to do it. She's like brah, and and then she's like, oh, the guy's like, you've obviously been with a black dude before. And like I thought about this a couple minutes later. Unfortunately, I wasn't right on it. I was like, well then, obviously once they go black, they never come back. It ain't true. Like I was like thinking that in my head because like I'm
That's
Italian, so it's like
You're
once
Italian?
they go, yeah.
Nobody is so comfortable with black. That makes sense now.
But I thought of a cool one for Italian.
Yeah.
Once they go black, they never come back. Once they go wop, you don't stop. Once you go Mick, you stick. Shit like that.
Wait,
So,
are you Irish?
just a wee bit lad.
Are you Irish enough to say Mick?
According to okay, I haven't done the 23andMe myself,
Yeah.
but my brother has done it, and he was way more Irish than we thought. So,
We can assume-
I'll have to do that.
Do you guys have
but-
the same like mom and dad?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So
We can assume you are.
theoretically, we should have the same DNA. But I've always had the thought, like, does one sibling have more, say, Italian than the other has more, like
The stroke
Irish
was,
or whatever?
Like, a little fucked up.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe one night it was a little to the left, one night it was a little to the right.
Oh my god, that is funny.
I don't know, man. Just the thoughts that go through my head. Lyall, you're mentioning you kind of walk the line between being a comics comic and an audience comic.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do particularly that maybe that you focus on or actually consciously, unconsciously do to get what you want across.
Honesty. I mean, because like the easy thing for me to say would be like, oh, I don't give a fuck, blah 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 blah, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But really, just like, do I believe what the fuck I'm talking about?
Okay.
So it's really important for me to believe, because I mean the thing is like sometimes I don't feel like telling jokes. Sometimes I don't have anything to say.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes that's the case. And
What do you do in those nights where you don't have anything to say?
well, you still do your act, and like you still like if you committed to a show or you're getting paid or whatever, like you still get up and you do like the rest of most Americans, like you do your fucking job. But yeah, so those days are kind of how I feel like a lot of comics can get jaded and go through the motions.
Okay.
Is through that. But it's like, you got to find like a new challenge or something to make it interesting to you, and it can all work out. But no, but yeah, that's the thing though, is like I don't really like forcing jokes. Like even here, I don't want to, like there was like a bunch of opportunities where I could have made like a little quip, and I'm like, no, let's not do that.
I actually learned that in high school, kind of the hard way.
Hey, you gotta tell me this. Please tell me this.
I learned, like, if you either wait too long to tell a joke, or you're like, okay, I gotta fit a joke in here. What could a good joke be? They typically always fall flat. It's more the stuff where you go timing and without a filter that make things funny. A little advice to somebody who's like trying to be funny in person: if you have to take the time to think, is this funny? It's not going to be funny by the time you say it.
Yeah, you just gotta say this shit. I mean, obviously for stand up it's different.
You write your stuff for stand up, but I'm talking about situationally funny. Like if you want to be funny amongst your friends, like if you're thinking something, say it.
Absolutely.
Like you may have the filter going off. Is this too offensive? That's fine. That's kind of a good thing to have. But like amongst friends, like if you can, like where I'm from, you can call your friends dickheads and assholes and whatever, and it means you like them.
That sounds like Cedar Rapids.
Yep, that is Cedar Rapids right there. Not
Come
the
here, you
West
fucking
Coast.
asswipe. It's like that is definitely not Bay Area shit.
No, Bay Area, you actually have to act like you like people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, if you want to be funny, say it when you think it. If you wait too long, it won't be funny. So I actually only have like really one more question for you. But first of all, where can people find you on the World Wide Web? What is your corner of the internet?
Well, LyallBehrens.com does exist. LyallBehrens.com. But I don't really update that often. Just for the simple fact that most people check social media more than actual websites.
Yeah. So what are your social handles?
Basically my name in Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, that's the best way to. Yeah. But if you want to see the show that I run and like you're in the Bay Area, it's laughcity.co. Com was too expensive.
Okay, is that the one that's at the Layover, correct?
We are there first and last Tuesday. Fifth Tuesdays when there is one. That shit is free. Happy hour before the show. Second and fourth Saturdays. Fifth when there's a Saturday. $15 online and $20 at the door.
Okay.
The difference in the show, people go, oh, well, how come one's free on a weekday and one is more expensive on a Saturday? Is it just because of the days? Well, that's part of it. The other thing is the comics are just better, and I try harder on a Saturday. On Tuesday, I work out new material.
Okay.
I just say shit on Tuesday.
And for people who are asking, in bars, people are trying to get people in the doors on weekdays. And on the weekends, they don't really need to try that hard to get people in the doors. So they can actually charge money. It's just business.
Absolutely.
So
that's good business.
Yeah. So just take a business class, figure it out, and then go see a fucking comedy show.
Go to Merritt College.
Yeah. Or the one commercial I find funny is Universal Technical Institute, and they refer to it as UTI, urinary tract infection. That's basically what their college stands for.
That's funny.
That's how my mind works. But all right, so they can find you at Lyall Behrens on all your social media.
Yeah.
And LyallBehrens.com on the World Wide Web. I have that one final question for you. All right, Lyall. All right, so I have that final question of the show. It kind of encompasses a few questions, Lyall. The question is, how do you live uncontained? Like, when people told you that stand-up comedy is a risky business and you need to have a backup plan, what is it that kept you going and made you take that step forward into your stand-up comedy career?
Well, the fact that, like, I'm an outlandish motherfucker, and a lot of people are like, nah, this is probably what you should be doing and nothing else. So, like, that definitely helped. Like, I didn't have many people that were like, yo, you should maybe do something else. I don't know, like, a backup plan. Everybody, like, everybody was just very, very supportive. So
that's awesome.
So that definitely helps. But
yeah,
in terms
definitely.
of like after a bad set, I don't think about bad sets. Like
Okay.
the same way I don't think about good sets. Whereas to me, because I have way more good sets than I do have bad sets. Otherwise, I wouldn't fucking be here.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, but I look at it kind of like, because it's funny. It's like, I watch like a lot of NBA. The game is peaks and valleys. Steph Curry is gonna be off from time to time. Like,
Yeah. What I was picking up from that, don't necessarily focus on the good sets or the bad sets.
well, especially with stand-up comedy, and that's one thing I never got about other stand-up comics when they get down on themselves over like a bad set. Because I'm like, motherfucker, you gonna be here tomorrow. You're doing the same shit. Like,
Yeah.
especially those comics where like they don't really care about the quality of the shows or the mics they're doing or whatever. They're just about stage time. You're going to be back here.
Yeah.
Why are you beating yourself up over this? So I just don't get that. I just don't get like beating yourself up over a set.
So you don't really focus on bad shows. You don't focus on good shows. But obviously, doing this 8 years, you've had to make some sacrifices.
Yeah.
What are some sacrifices that you've made to be able to continue doing stand-up comedy and not necessarily settle for a day job?
Not get guac on my burrito at Chipotle.
Yeah, that's
Those
an extra
huge
like 90
sacrifice.
cents or some shit.
There's a lot more than that, Aaron.
Uh,
Hey, Aaron. No, but yeah, it's like certain financial things. But beyond that, it's it's like life things, like, certain girlfriends, certain you can't be a good friend all the time.
Yeah.
You
What do you
miss
mean by that?
Oh, you miss birthdays, or you miss certain things, just going out and doing your sets and chasing sets and whatnot. So there's certain things where it's like, wow, I missed like me and some friends, like we missed some significant chapters in each other's lives.
Yeah.
So that's like things like that can happen. And me, like, I started when I was like right when I fucking turned 20. So for me, I was kind of like, did I fuck up? Like, should I, I have like girlfriends and whatever, and they'll be like, yeah, I don't have many friends now because I moved to this new area, but thank God for my college friends, because man, they're still here, and I'm so glad I met them. I'm so glad I did not go to that other college I got into, and I'm just kind of like, wow, should I have fucking, and not even because it's funny, is most. Obviously not like I can't go back to fucking college, but
Yeah.
a lot of comics will look at it like or just people in general will look at it like the backup plan. And it's like, I don't think of it like that.
Okay.
Like, there's no backup plan. You just do what the fuck you got to do. But I look at it like, oh, it would have been nice to have certain connections. I grew up in this shit, so, for me, it hindered me to a degree with comedies where it's like, I started when I was like fucking 20. Like, I'm not a man. I'm not like, you're a fucking boy at 20. You're a fucking girl at 20.
Your brain's not even fully developed yet.
Exactly. So certain mistakes are made on the way. Some where and then now that I'm 28, I'm like, oh, a lot of y'all just some bitch ass motherfuckers. But still, it's like I'll still take I'll still take full responsibility for the fucked up things I did, say and do. So that is like a thing where it's like, man, it kind of would have been nice if I made my mistakes at a college. Friends, other people my age,
Yeah.
they were doing the same fucked up shit, and with people that are booking a club, that
right.
I want to get into, and I'm in this, and I'm a lifer in this shit.
Yeah, definitely. So Lyall, it's been amazing talking to you tonight. It's been really fun.
Is there anything left you want to ask me?
Is there? I think I've asked just about any fucking question that I could. Thank you very much for coming on my show. I appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, man. And
Pleasure being here.
Once again, where can people check you out again? Your social media.
Just my name. My name is my name.
All right, Lyall Behrens at your
Everything.
social media of choice.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for coming on, man. I got one final thing for you to do, and that is sign off the show. Anything
Wrapping
like
it
that?
up with Lyall Behrens, and I'm uncontained, and you fucking should be too, or else I won't fuck with you. Boom.
And that does it for another episode of Uncontained. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Lyall Behrens for joining me. I got some good news for you guys. I got some brand new stickers, and I want you guys to have them. So send me a message either via email at uncontainedpod@gmail.com or hit me up on your favorite social media at uncontainedpod, Facebook, Instagram. You name it, I'm probably on it like that. So send me a message letting me know you want a sticker. Then I'll send you a sticker, and you send me a picture of where you stick the sticker. I choose my favorite picture, and, hook the winner up with a cool prize. Maybe some Uncontained swag, maybe something else. I'll have more details for you on my Instagram and Facebook page. So yeah, stay up to date on what's going on. And until next time, live uncontained.